Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio in Atlanta, Georgia. It's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by Kennesaw State University's Executive MBA program, the accelerated degree program for working professionals looking to advance their career and enhance their leadership skills. And now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Atlanta Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, KSU's Executive MBA program. Without them, we couldn't be sharing these important stories. Today on Atlanta Business Radio, we have James Bruni with GBG Idology. Welcome.
Good to be here. Thanks, Lee.
Can you, James, before we get too far into things, tell us about GBG Idology. How are you serving folks?
Yeah, sure. We're one of the largest identity verification onboarding businesses in the world. We're about a $400 million company globally. We do about 210 million transactions daily, and we've got over 20,000 customers globally. We've been around here in Atlanta, Georgia, actually for 20 plus years. But GBG globally has been around for 30 plus. We're what I'd call a financial technology company. We take data, mix it with software, and help organizations be more efficient and effective in their onboarding of customers, making sure that they onboard good customers, better paying customers, and try to do the best job of minimizing fraud, making sure we keep the bad apples out.
Now, can you talk a little bit about the history of the company here in Atlanta?
Oh, sure. Yeah. It was started 20 years ago by an entrepreneur that identified the opportunity for identification, digital identification. And it, so often, so many companies will build on fancy what I call marketing, but Idology literally built one customer at a time. And over 20 years, built 100 million plus business. And about 3 years ago, they were acquired by the GBG, which is a global organization. They had a tremendous presence across the globe, and they really wanted a strong presence in the U.S. And they had an aggressive acquisition strategy and acquired Idology. We're rebranding GBG Idology, but the core culture and the core business is right here in Atlanta. But of course, we service what I call the Americas, U.S., Canada, and South America, Central America.
Now,
so quite a history.
Yeah, and when it was acquired, it was obviously an Atlanta-based firm that was acquired. Why was it important to kind of stick around Atlanta?
Yeah, no, really good point. They wanted to get in North and South America, and Idology had a tremendous brand, had a great culture, and had a reputation, a really strong reputation. They also bought another company out of Boston, and then they bought a company out west in Northern California. So over the last couple of years, really, I was brought in to integrate those three businesses. But the core of our business, we have three offices. We've got one in New York, we've got one in Boston, but our core North American, or what I would call America's office, is based here in Atlanta. It's for the hardworking people, the talent that we've got here. And it's a real core part of our overall culture, not just GBG Idology, but globally.
Now, recently, I've had the opportunity to be part of something called FinTech South, which is a big FinTech conference that's been in Atlanta for many years. And I remember talking to somebody that was coming internationally who came down for that event, and they were telling me that when they were telling their friends at their company, oh, I got to go to America for this event, and they were kind of surprised that the event was in Atlanta. Can you explain to folks out there why things like FinTech South and Idology, it makes perfect sense to be based in Atlanta because a lot of FinTech is done in Atlanta?
Our biggest segment, just in generally, our biggest customer segment is banking and financial technology. And I think we've got a rich history here in Atlanta of financial technology companies starting and building and growing. And I think it has a lot to do with the tremendous with the talent, and then also the business environment. So for us, of course, we are across the Americas, but it's amazing the amount of customers that either have core businesses here as their corporate office here, or they have a big presence of talent. So that really lends itself for us being here. And we're growing. We're 1,200 employees globally, but we've got 350 here in the United States, with over 130 right here in Atlanta. So as we grow, this is a great opportunity for us to look for individuals that have the skills, the talent, and really want to fit into our overall culture.
Now, one of the ways that you serve the community is with your annual fraud report. I think it's on its ninth edition this year.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about some of the insights that were gleaned from that?
Sure. That this is a report that surveys people not just in the U.S. but across the world, and a few sort of quotes and stats is that generative AI poses a huge threat to businesses today. 45% of all companies are worried about generation AI's ability to create more synthetic identities. Also, worth mentioning is 74% are concerned about potential for SIF to increase. A quote around fintechs is 58% of fintechs reported suffering a data breach this last year and suffered some or extensive financial loss. So we're seeing fraud, and another example is we're seeing fraud double and triple, 45% or 45% increase on the average value of attempted fraud transaction occurred over $5,000. So this is a report that we've got baselines going back 9 years, and it's really helping our customers as they adjust and as they evolve, and how do they properly fight fraud.
Now, as pretty much every company that exists today is a technology company in some form or fashion, how much does fraud cost? Like what like we're seeing an increase in fraud, but what is kind of the amount of money we're talking about? Because I would imagine, obviously, it varies from firm to firm, but if that high of a percentage of firms are experiencing fraud, the cost is real and the impact is real. So can you give us an idea of what the cost of the fraud is? Yeah,
for sure. According to the Association Certified Fraud Examiners, they estimate that about 5% of total revenue is being impacted by fraud. 45% of businesses said, and they attested, that transactions have increased to over $5,000 of fraud. And then what's even more interesting is that 28% of executives that are running companies don't feel that they truly understand the real impact of fraud. So they're trying to do everything they can to get additional clarification, visibility, right? And since 2019, we've seen that fraud transactions, and we've got the metrics for that, have doubled.
So can you explain how GBG Idology helps an organization kind of protect itself from this type of kind of cyber challenges that are existing today?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the threat is, I think, really twofold, right? I think we've got customer trust, and then we've got securing financial and data impact. And I think they go hand in hand. And what GBG has is we mix our content, which is either data or documents, with our software to help organizations onboard customers in a safer way and ensure that they're onboarding customers that aren't fraudulent. And there's a fine line between the friction that it takes to ensure you have a good customer and that process that organizations go through. But if you have meaningful risk-based consumer onboarding journeys and have the right tools, you can unlock revenue, fight fraud, and then also in many situations maintain compliance. So many of our customers in the fintech and just elsewhere have compliance as their compliance regulations that they always want to adhere to.
So then your service is not just protecting, your services is to kind of unlock data to make your customer more aware of opportunities as well?
Yeah, the idea is to drive revenue, right? Organizations want customers that are willing to pay and can't pay and that aren't fraudulent. And that's what we try to do, is we try to unlock and ensure that the individuals that are coming into your organization are real, good, paying customers. And that's what we want to do.
And then so what is kind of the pain that an organization is having right before they partner with GBG Idology?
Yeah, no, good question. Often it's either they had a fraudulent prospect come on and pretend to be somebody else and then cause some type of fraudulent activity where they're either stealing product or stealing some type of financial takeaway. And then in many situations, it could be reputational also, data breaches, for instance. So getting into an organization's system, and we can help and fight both.
So a lot of times they're coming to you after something bad's happened. They're trying to triage it and to get beyond it.
I think there's, in some organizations, there's compliance, and based on compliance, they want to ensure that an individual is a certain age, if they want to, say, be in the gaming industry, or if they want to order alcohol online. So sometimes it's compliance, and we've got the tools that will help those organizations onboard and adhere to compliance, but at the same time bring on as many strong customers as they can to really drive revenue. And then in some situations, it's strictly to ensure that they're fighting against fraud and any type of revenue that could go out the door because of that fraud.
Now, if you were to give advice to folks out there when it comes to fraud, is there any low-hanging fruit they can be doing themselves proactively in order to, protect themselves even a little bit?
Well, I sort of mentioned this, but it's really having a risk-based customer onboarding journey, right? That make sure they have the right tools to unlock good revenue, but then also be able to fight fraud.
Now, what is kind of, if you looked in your crystal ball, what are you looking forward to as we wrap up this year and get into 2025?
No, I'm really excited. GBG Idology, we're a fast growth business. We want to continue to take advantage and take care of our customers. Over the last year and maybe a year and a half, I really focused on integrating the businesses that GBG acquired here in the Americas. And we've created a great solution. We've got data, and we've got documents, and we've got great software that work together to do that exactly for our customers. So we're focused on taking care of our top customers. And then at the same time, we have an aggressive go-to-market strategy to go out and find existing or new customers for us. We're in the healthcare space. We're in the fintech space, as I mentioned, banking space, gaming, events, and we have got a lot going on, and I'm really excited. A lot of opportunity, particularly here in Atlanta. We're growing our Atlanta team, We're looking for solution engineers and people in technology and people in sales. So it's an exciting time to be here.
So if somebody wants to learn more, have a more substantive conversation with you or somebody on the team, what's the website? What's the best way to connect?
Yes, just do a quick search for GBG Idology and jump on the website, and there's opportunities where you can reach out to us for either job opportunities and also services.
Well, James, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Thanks, Lee. Great to talk to you. Great to spread the word. Thank you.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Atlanta Business Radio.